Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Hello and welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. We are hitting the big 1-0 today, I believe. Episode 10. And today we have an interview with Rob from the Kiln Line. So that's coming up a little bit later. I am your host, James, and with me is producer and co-host
Sam. Hi, everyone. How are you, James?
I'm good, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. I've had one of those weird weeks where loads of little bits creep up on me and then disappear, and other bits like that. So I've been getting a little bit of personal hobby done whilst the saga of boxing things up and bits and bobs like that have been going on. So I finished my class 73 this week. I haven't fully weathered it, but I've got it to the point where all of the windows, the glazing, the electrics in it are all back in place. Eventually I'll buy a sound chip for it, and then once I've done that, I'll properly weather it so that I can get it all put back together. And in front of me, I have my two sets of Hornby's Southwest Trains 4VEPs. I renumbered one of the sets, and I've been oil weathering them over the course of the last couple of days. So that'll be really, really nice. Once again, waiting for a sound chip for one of those, and I need to speak to somebody who can help me speed match because I don't have a layout that I can speed match on at the moment. So how about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, this week I'm still working on the layout. It's a very, very, very slow progress. And it's because one of the reasons is that I've got the Cobalt point motors, and I have a very old Digitrax DT400 controller. I had a Batman Dynamis. It didn't work out for me, so I've gone back to my really old controller. But what I need to do is send to the points. And I spent about 2 days reading through the instruction manual. And if anyone has ever owned a Digitrax or owns a Digitrax controller, you know that this manual is thick, very thick. And I'm going through it, and I was trying to work out how to get these points and send addresses and that. And digital, it's a bit like you were talking about speed matching now. I wouldn't know how. It's such a minefield to me. I like it and appreciate it, but yeah, sometimes I just like talking about CVs and variables and all that. It's just complete foreign language to me. It's sort of my Achilles heels of modeling, I think. Yeah, it's I definitely need to do, I don't know, some sort of course or something just to get a better understanding. But yeah, eventually I found out how to center the points. So what would have helped was if I actually read the instructions for the Cobalt point motors first, rather than go straight to my digital manual. Because it said there straight away, all you have to do is there's a little switch on it. So set and run, you put it in set, you put in address 199, I think, to center it. Put it in twice just to make sure that it got sent to the point motor. And the software on it's clever enough that it then reads 199 has been sent by the digital control system. Switch the system off, switch it back on, and the point motor will send itself back to the middle. So that took me about 2 days to work that one out. So I've been slowly progressing to install these point motors. And then the other thing, which I think is quite important, I did put it on my Instagram the other day. When I did eventually read the instructions for the Cobalt point motor, it says that you should lubricate them every 5 years.
Okay.
And this is actually a very important thing. So anyone listening does own Cobalts, you probably do need to do this. I opened mine up. They are only, I think, 3 years old off the top of my head. They were dry as a bone in there. All the grease had all dried up. There was nothing left in them. So I've been opening them up and oiling them before installing on the baseboard. I dread in 5 years' time when they need to come off and be oiled again, because they're not the easiest to remove, especially when you use the sticky pads to hold them on. So it's something I'm not looking forward to, but that's future me's problem. The same one that's going to have to deal with the diabetes and the amount of sugar I eat. But yeah, really important, I think, for people that do own them to open them up and give them oil, because mine were only 3 years old and they had dried up already. And then it keeps there's a lifetime guarantee on them, and that keeps the lifetime guarantee going because you've maintained them as per the instructions. So yeah, that's a little advice, everyone. But also, they are not the easiest to take apart. So the instruction says it's really easy. That's a lie. First one, the screws really. I destroyed the rubber that went round the outside of my screwdriver, trying to get them. on this one. This was a particularly tough one. I've probably picked the worst of the bunch. Um, Eventually got the screws open, and then you try and pry the casing apart. And I think the motor welds itself a little bit to the casing because you can pull the bottom and then the top is just a little bit stuck. So the first one, brute force and ignorance, pulled it, wouldn't go. So put a bit more strength in there. And then the next thing, there's gears flying all over the room. I was like, oh no, I've destroyed a 25-pound point motor. But fortunately, the gears were actually not too bad. And I managed to puzzle it back together, oil it up, put the casing back on, tested it on the digital controller. It centered again. It all worked. Happy days. And yes, I've been slowly progressing through that one as well. So yeah, anyone listening, there's a little lesson there for the Cobalt point motors to oil your point motors.
Well, that's a great little bit of information for everybody at home with Cobalt point motors, James. Thank you very much. In terms of news this week, I don't think we've really got anything. It's been another quiet week, and no doubt as soon as we finish recording, we'll be notified of some great news that's come out.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? Whenever we do the recording, it's usually in between the middle. Like we'll do our intro and then we get to the outro, and then a few emails have popped up. And you're like, dang it. I think like last week we just missed out on the Model Railways Direct flash sale.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. I've gone and checked, and yeah, it
was a very good sale as well.
Yes.
The thing that stuck out to me was anybody who is interested in, so the 4 VEPs that Hornby brought out earlier this year, they have come down considerably in price, and not just on the Model Railways Direct one, but a lot of retailers are selling them for far cheaper than they were when they first came out. The retail price initially was meant to be £362. And I think the price that Model Railways Direct was selling the Southern version for was somewhere in the region of 232. So it's a big drop in the retail price for anyone who was interested in it. So if you picked one up, fantastic. I don't need any more, so I didn't pick one up, but I was just very impressed with it.
Yeah, there was some good pricing there. I was just a bit annoyed that they'd done it a week early. It's like, yeah, they need to match it up with the Network Rail pay cycle. Yeah, it was a good sale. Anyone listening, just sign up to their mailing list because it does pop up every now and again, and I have got some bargains off them in the past. So yeah, that's the Model Railways Direct guys with their flash sale. Is there any other news this week? I think you said you had a few bits, but I tried to look and wasn't sure. I saw Cadillacs actually been posting pictures of their Class 60 painted samples. They look very nice.
Yeah, they do. They do look very nice. I mean, it's one of those It's one of those locos where it's not for me, but they look great. But then I know what will happen is in 6 months after they've sold out and they don't have any, I'll suddenly go, you know what I really like? It's a little bit like with fashion. I'm the most unfashionable person, and then a year after it's gone out of fashion, I'm like, you know what I really like? Flares. Yeah, no doubt. In 6 months' time, I'll be telling you that I really want a pair of a Class 60.
You're going to go through Flickr and find a picture of a 60 going over the bridge, aren't you? Into Portsmouth. And go, I want to model that.
You know me too well. I tell you what it's not necessarily official news. Last week I mentioned that on the Rails of Sheffield page, if you went on the YouTube channel and commented on the Accurascale takeover video, they said they'd do a new run of some of the coaches. I'm one of these, but I hyperfixate on stuff. So I've got it in my head that I want the Caledonian set yesterday. I went on the Accurascale website and went onto the web chat, and just through chance, I was like, I'm going to chance my arm, see if they can give me any information. I said, are you looking to do a re-release of the Caledonian stuff? And was expecting sort of like we can't say or anything like that. And they came back with a straight up, yep, we're going to be redoing it. We can't tell you when, but it's definitely coming. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty good response rather than sort of going, oh, we can't say anything. They've given that they are going to be doing the Mark Vs, the Caledonians and stuff like that. So if you are in the market for anything like that, then be aware that it is coming.
That is the quite good thing with Accurascale. I know seeing them at shows and that I have spoken to them and asked about the Mark Vs myself, and they said they will be coming at some point. So that's all cool. I also noticed today that they put out an email with an increase on their discounts for wagon packs. I think it's 5 for 15%. So you order 5 and get 15% off. That is a damn good deal as well.
Yeah, I think they gave an example as well, pricing wise. So apologies if I'm stealing your thunder here. So they do 10% off if you buy 2 to 4. So if you bought something that was £75, it would effectively go down to £67.45. And then if you bought 5 or more, it would go down to 63.71. So you're saving over. So the 15%, I know that makes complete sense that you're saving at least a tenner, but that starts to add up, especially if you're buying rakes of 10, things like that. So worth thinking about. If you've got the money to invest in it, you do save a lot of money. Buy in bulk, save in the long run.
All they need them to do now is just re-release some of their GBRF wagons, etc., that they brought out last year, and we'd be happy days. But so if anyone from Curious Scouts listening, that's what we want from you. We're demanding these things. And
so I stumbled across new hyperfixation is the Class 73s that run the Caledonian sleeper stuff.
Yes.
I love 73s. You might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on this. The 73s that run on the Caledonian sleeper stuff, they've had their third rail pickups completely removed. They've sort of undergone quite a body change to become the 73s that they are.
Yeah, I think they're classified as 73/9s.
Yes.
Network Rail had a couple modified as well. But yeah, I think they had a bit of an engine improvement because 73s off the third rail were not the strongest locos in the world. Although someone at work was telling the other day, because we talk about cross country trains that used to pass through sort of the Acton area, and one of them I think ran from Brighton with a pair of 73s on the front as far as I'm sure they said like Rugby or something like that, like Cropper going north. What?
that is the model railway, or that is the railway equivalent of Sam and Frodo leaving the Shire.
Yeah,
this is the furthest. This is the furthest I have ever been. One more step and that's it. Meanwhile, they're just booting it north, just like the Mordor.
Yeah, it's absolutely, yeah. They should definitely rename their 70s, give them Sam and Frodo's names and Pippin the Merry.
That'd be amazing. I would purchase that. So yeah, I've been fixating on that. There's somebody on Instagram who makes a kit that you can get to effectively convert the Dapol or the Hornby version to the non-third rail version that the Caledonian sleeper and, like you say, the Network Rail runs. And I believe that you are correct. It is a 73/9 that they operate. And I feel like these look like if Caterpillar or Cat made diesel locos. Like, they look so beastie in this form. They've gone from the single headlight, they've got these big beastie front headlights now and the snow plows and stuff like that, and they just look incredible. So if you've not had a chance to look at the Caledonian 73s, then go and have a look, because I love a 73, and the idea of having one that could pull a rake of Caledonian coaches also makes me quite excited. So
they do look good, I think, with that modifications that they've had to them. There's something that brings them into sort of today's railway.
That they just, I don't know what it is. They just look so much more beefy. Like, and I don't even really know what they've done to make it like that, but they do look good because of it. But the reason I've brought this up is because I came across someone's YouTube channel who had got the Mark V coaches, and they did a review of it, and they did the 92. They then shared, there's been a request thing to Accurascale where they've asked that they do the 73 in the Caledonian run. So apparently it's been around for a while, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to chance my arm and just put my name down that I think this should be done. So who knows, it might be. I mean, we're long overdue for a new Accurascale announcement, aren't we? What was the last big announcement that we had?
The Pannier tank was the last one, I think.
That must have been a year ago.
Yeah. Loco wise, I'm sure it's the Pannier. I don't think there's anything been since the Pannier. There may be some other wagons. Sometimes the BR stuff I'm not quite up to date with. It's sort of 1960 stock and that, just because it's not my era. Loco wise, I'm sure it's the Pannier. So yeah, it would be interesting to see. I think they have got quite a few models coming through this year. I think the 66s are about to land, or they have landed. So anyone's who's ordered them, they should be arriving on your doorstep shortly. Then you
cue the knock on your door.
Yeah, the lorry reversing down the drive. But, I think the 37s follow that. They've got the 50s. I think the 89 is ready to go.
31 must be very close as well.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, there's quite a few models all prepared and ready to go. So that maybe that's why they've sort of held back for a moment, just sort of get through this catalogue and then maybe start announcing again. I don't know. We just have to wait and see.
I think if I was a betting man, I'd say that if we're expecting a big announcement from anyone soon, I'd say it's an Akira scale announcement. There must be something coming.
Yeah, I'd think so. I mean, obviously Daypol like to just drop the bomb whenever they feel like it. That's no warning whatsoever, so you never know. But yeah, it's surprising because they obviously do the 73, that they haven't done the 73 9, but maybe, as you say, it's quite a beefy looking loco. Maybe that's quite a bit of amendment to the tooling that they need to do. So cool. I think that covers the news wise. And the only other thing I noticed, and I don't know if you've seen, have you seen the box art for the Hellion Class 104?
Oh yeah, that popped up on my screen earlier today as well. Isn't it just absolutely? I mean, the 104 I'm not interested in. It's not. I looked at the loco and I was like, it's not my kind of thing. But the box art that they've done for it is just absolutely beautiful.
It's stunning, isn't it? It's just that it's sort of got that Akira scale vibe of the same with their style of artwork, where they designed the box to look like the livery of the loco, and Hellion have got the same. In this case, the 104, they've got the Network Southeast, which is obviously where we like that, and then it's the livery the 104 wore in Scotland around 1985. So it's sort of a reddish brown and a cream colour, and that looks very nice as well. So I think they're on the way shortly from Hellion. And yeah, I think it'd be quite a nice model. It's an interesting prototype, and I think there was a 104 based at Reading. So for Western, I think it was a combo. I think it was paired up with maybe a 101 or something like that.
Oh, okay,
but
that makes sense.
For Western region modelers, it's going to be a great little model to have for that time period.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the only Hellion locos that I own are the Class 33s, and all three of mine are absolutely outstanding performers, and I've never had a problem with them. I've repainted 2 of them, and they just put the work in for such little models. So I can't imagine it's going to be a horrible thing coming from Hellion.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to look forward to there. Anyway, you're probably bored of listening to us and want an extra voice. So why don't we move on to our interview? And as we say, this week we have Rob from the Kiln Line. Rob is an O-gauge modeler. He's doing a heritage steam railway, but you don't need me to tell about it. You can hear Rob tell us himself in just a moment.
Look at that! You see that there? The super shiny diesel loco that's coming this way. Yeah, I see it. Isn't it beautiful? So fresh, so clean, like it's straight out of the box. I mean, yeah, it's nice, but I prefer it to have a used look to it. In an ideal world, that would be nice. But I'm sure the owner doesn't have the confidence, skill or time to undertake such a job. Then why don't they just send it to Emperor's Path? Emperor's Path? Yeah. SBJ has years of experience in model railways and wargaming, the ability to meet your weathering needs, and works with you during the whole process to ensure the project is how you want it, not like it's come through a factory. Come on, that must cost a fortune. Not really. He offers different levels of weathering at really affordable prices. I've got my whole fleet weathered by him. My loco's got the full treatment, whilst my rolling stock just a dusting with the airbrush, and it looks really authentic. I might just get a quote. How do I contact him? You get him on Instagram at emperors_path, by Facebook, Emperor's Path, or emperorspathcontact@gmail.com. Emperor's Path Weathering. If it's not filthy, let's change that.
And we are back, and today we have our third guest of the series. We're getting quite good at this, at getting people on. We felt that the Steam community was a little deprived, and so today we have Rob from the Kiln Line. Hello, Rob. How are you?
I'm fine, James. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. I've got back into my modelling mojo. I had a bit of a sort of down period. I was like, couldn't be bothered with it anymore, but I'm feeling more into it. And that's probably because I've just acquired some new rolling stock, so I'm a bit excited about getting that running.
That does help.
But it's not about me today, it's about you, Rob. So you are the Kiln Line, as found on Instagram, and I do believe you're an O gauge modeler, but would you like to tell us a little bit about your layout and your modelling?
The Kiln Line has been around for going on about 5 years now. It started off as an N gauge layout in my shed, and then when we moved to this house we're currently in now, we found there was a big loft. So it then I sold up and started O gauge. The layout itself is a preserved railway, just so I can run whatever I want, really. But it's mainly GWR bias. As you said, I run mostly steam. You'll find the odd diesel, but steam is my bag.
That's cool. That's quite a jump, isn't it? From N to O. I don't think I've ever heard anyone do that. Usually it's N to OO or sometimes OO to N, but I've never seen anyone do the full jump from very tiny to rather big. So that's that must be a bit of a difference in modelling.
Well, I do N gauge as well.
Okay.
I've got an N gauge that I'm converting to be kind of like a scaled up scaled down 7.25 inch for my O gauge. So it's going to be like the miniature railway to your normal heritage railway kind of thing.
Oh, that sounds very cool.
Currently on the workbench, say I've got two Mark I coaches, and I've ripped the roofs off and I'm putting O gauge people inside them.
That's very cool. Awesome stuff. Lovely. So obviously, you have an Instagram account. If people want to find you, it's the Kiln Line? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Anywhere else they can find you?
Yes. I've recently restarted my YouTube channel. Started reviewing O gauge steam locomotives.
Cool. I'll have to look for that. I didn't realise you'd fired up on YouTube again. So that's definitely something for myself and people listening to look out for. Awesome stuff. Thanks for that, Rob. Right, we're going to dive into the questions then. If you're happy to be interrogated by me and Sam. So
go for it.
It's the usual setup. We have, on the top of my head, I'm probably getting it wrong, 11 set questions that we like to ask all our guests, so everyone gets a fair turn. And we always start with steam, electric, or diesel.
It's steam. Even though I'm 34 and never actually got to see it on the main lines, I'm steam through and through.
There we are. There's the first one for steam then to chalk up on the board.
You can stop messaging me now. I get it. Okay, we've got one. Stop.
He paid me to say that.
Cool. Yeah. No. I mean, as I say, I chose diesel, but there is definitely that something about steam, isn't there? That as I say, sort of that living mechanism. That's almost.
I think it had something to do with my gramps used to take me to a lot of heritage railways when I was little. Okay. And in his loft, he had a massive double O gauge layout, and it was almost exclusively steam, apart from this one he had on the top, where he ran Class 91s around on it, in Intercity Swallow livery, which is why I'm a massive fan of those as well.
I like that story. That's kind of. I used to sort of have the same as well. My gran had a friend and she'd go visit, and her husband, he'd have exactly the same, that big model railway up in the roof, and it was always quite impressive to see all these steam engines running around. I think he might have said something like that as well, where you have the odd train that shouldn't be there, sort of thing. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Class 91 whizzing round. Right, so you said that you've modelled in N and O. So our next question is, what is your favourite scale?
O gauge, hands down. The detail on the O gauge models for the price that you're paying is absolutely phenomenal. And how easy is it to fit DCC in these things, because you've got all that room as well.
I'll be honest, I haven't tried it. I've only just bought the one loco.
Well, the 1400 is ridiculously easy, because all you got to do is take the smoke box door out, slide out the PCB, and just put your chip in and slide it back in again.
That is very easy. Is there a speaker fitted in it, or is that another job?
No, you have to wire in your own speaker, but it just fits on top of the chip.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad then. That's a nice easy job for me. I've got to get some track first, but but yeah, as I say, there is O gauge does look fantastic, doesn't it? And there's definitely that appeal there. I can understand why. I think you are the second person to come on the show now to say O gauge, and going to shows and seeing its popularity increasing, you can tell why. It's just a shame everyone struggles for space sometimes, but you don't necessarily need a large amount of space. And you say you got yours in the loft, haven't you? So how big is your layout in the loft, if you don't mind me asking?
My layout's about, I think it's about 12 foot by 14.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's not massive, but it's enough for my single line branch line. that goes
Yeah.
around the outside, and then I've got me double O gauge on the top end gauge over there. Whatever, I've got everything I need with plenty of space in the middle.
Lovely stuff. Right then, we'll move on to what is the favourite loco that you own?
That'll be my Minerva Kerr Stewart Victory locomotive. It's the one that I got without any liveries or anything like that. It was just plain black, and I knew from the very start I was going to make it a home locomotive. I gave it the running number of my daughter's birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's been like that ever since. I've recently had the sound chip fail on me, so that's back with Minerva, but it'll be back on the railway, good and proper, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
What's really nice about that as well is it's not. I mean, you said the name, and I didn't know what the loco was, so I've quickly Googled it, and it's not the kind of loco that I'd expect to hear or see as someone's favourite, in the sense that because it's not your stereotypical 14XX, your Class 8 shunters, your Class 33s. It's not one of those, but it almost looks like one of those locos that's. So if you don't know what this loco is, have a quick Google. Butcher the name like I did, and completely misspelt the entire thing. But it's a wheel formation 060 tank engine. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
But it has like the sort of pistons, like I would liken more to one of the bigger sort of like a Black 5 type engine on it at the front of it, rather than just sort of the solid bar that goes across the 3 wheels each side. And that makes it even more appealing visually to look at, because you sort of go, well, that's a completely random loco that you wouldn't necessarily see.
The locomotives themselves, until I think it was Planet Industrials, they released theirs in double O gauge. I'd never actually seen them in mainstream. It was only when I saw those, and then when I Googled it, Minerva said that they sold them in O gauge. I was like, I'm having one of those. They just give off that impression of really small but really powerful steam locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay. Yeah.
It's sad that we don't have any in preservation, personally, in my point of view. But it's just one of those locomotives on my layout that just, I can put anything behind it and I know that he'll pull it.
It does look like a strong engine. I say I've done the same as Sam. I knew which loco you were talking about, but I thought I'd just have a quick Google, so I just have a look at the model, and it is an impressive looking model. And yeah, it definitely got that look of, it's a little tank engine, but that could do a lot of work. So I might have to do some reading up on the loco after we've done the recording, just to sort of get a better understanding of its history. But yeah, no, that is an awesome choice for your favourite loco. So we'll move on to the next question, which we'd like to ask is, what is the favourite loco that you don't own? And this doesn't necessarily have to be something that has been produced. It could be something that's out of production. It could be something that you'd like to see produced. Whatever, floats your boat, basically.
Well, anybody that follows my channel will know I'm a very big fan of the 2800s, the GWR heavy freights.
Yeah.
And currently you can only get kits of them. So now I've actually got the locomotive that's coming up on my next review. That was actually going to be this one. That was actually going to be the answer to this question, but now I've got it. I've got to pick another one. So that's going to be the one that's going to come next, I think.
And do you think you're going to kit build it, or do you think it's going to be a case of you're waiting for it to come in?
No, I'm going to have a go at a kit.
Oh, I think that's definitely a first for the podcast.
And I just got to hope it goes around my corners when I finish the kit. Otherwise, I'm going to be very upset, aren't I? Put all that time into it just get stuck on the corners.
Yeah. Oh no, I can imagine. I think I think we've all been there, haven't we? We've all done projects and that, and put time and effort, and then you realise it's not going to quite work. Usually mine's with track laying, but that's I suppose that's the same issue, isn't it? You just can't get around the corner. But they are a lovely loco. I can see why you'd want one of them. They're absolutely gorgeous, aren't they, for a heavy freight?
They're ideal for heritage railways as well, which would fall perfectly in line with mine.
Yes, indeed. I like that, and I like it'd be nice to see if you're doing the kit build. Do you think you might put it on your YouTube channel, or do you think you'll just build it and then just do a review like you're doing with the other locos?
Well, at the moment, I'm doing repairs and I'm doing shorts of them to put on YouTube and Instagram. But I think I'll probably do a similar kind of setup when I come to do the kits as well.
Yeah.
So then you can quick and to the point what I've done this week.
That'd be interesting. That's definitely good to see. Yeah, because I say my temptation for O gauge, with the Dream Loco would be a rebuilt West Country or a Battle of Britain. So watching someone else have a go at a kit and seeing how they get on with it would maybe encourage me or discourage me from attempting my own. But yeah,
I'm terrified of brass kits at the moment. I've got to try and kick that worry about that and get on with one.
Yeah, no, I know that. I think I'm exactly the same. Especially I like watching Tony Wright or reading his articles now because he's very good at building brass kits, and you just look at how good they are. But it's that first step that terrifying first sort of. I suppose it's like parachuting, isn't it? It's just standing on the edge of the plane, ready to do the jump, and you just got to jump, I suppose. But yeah, I look forward to seeing your 2800.
Whenever that happens.
Talking of projects, then we'll move on to the next question. And what is the favourite project that you have undertaken so far?
I'm going to go with the embankments purely because it's one of those elements of a model railway where you can see your locomotives, your trains disappearing behind something, and seeing that all come together, seeing all the foliage on top, all the grass and all that, then it just brings your layout to life. And it really changed my whole perspective on this layout because a couple of months ago I was wondering what to do with it. I had a bit of burnout, and then I just threw some grass down and I was like, that actually looks all right, that. And then 4 hours later, I'd done more embankment work, and Nick completely revitalized it.
It's bonkers how an embankment can completely change how a scene looks as well. Having had it on my previous layout where it was all flat, and then the second you start adding sort of like a tunnel and a hill and an embankment up one side, it completely changes the area. And apart from me, and I think it's the same for you because I've seen way more pictures of it on your Instagram since you built your embankment. But having the embankment, it suddenly becomes this weird photo spot for you because you've got stuff behind your loco, you've got stuff in front of your loco, you've got all these different views that you can suddenly get where you can get really tasty little shots. Whether it's that one thing that I really like doing is trying to get a shot as if it was taken by a spotter or something like that. So trying to get the shot from a bridge or from a pathway and stuff like that. I always like doing that. And I feel like embankments are the perfect area to do that because you can get some really nice shots that you wouldn't have got before.
I totally agree. I've got a little path that comes up the very front of the board, goes up the embankment, and I tend to take pictures and videos as if they're looking over the fence towards the tunnel mouth.
Your embankments are built from chicken wire, aren't they?
Yeah, chicken wire and paper mache. Yeah.
I like the fact you use chicken wire, Rob, because that's a technique that you don't see very often these days. I was quite curious because my lad said to me the other day about someone was building land. He went, "They're using chicken wire. I didn't know you could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a really old technique." So yeah, it's quite kind of cool to see that it's still being used out there.
It's just basically what I had at hand. We built some cat pens in the carport for my wife's rescue. We had some left over, and I said, "Can I have it?" And she said, "If you must." So I used it.
Cool. Yeah, it's always good to make use of these things lying around. That's thank you for that answer, Rob. That's a great answer. So the next question is, what is your next hobby purchase? And obviously, it doesn't have to be as exciting as a locomotive. It could be something as dull as Mine and Sound's point motors.
It's a power supply for my DCC controller.
Oh, does that mean the other one's broken?
Yeah, the O gauge is currently out of commission.
Oh, that's horrible news to hear. You heard it here first, folks. The Kiln Line is down.
Well, I've still got the miniature railway and the double O gauge running, so I can work on the O gauge while I can run those. So it's not all sad, but it means that I can't film the rest of the bits I need for my review on Saturday until that turns up.
Lovely. So moving on from that, then we'll move to our next question, which is, what is your favourite part of the hobby?
I'm going to go with track laying.
Laying.
I know that's a strange one, but I find it really weirdly satisfying when I've finally got a circuit of track down. You can run trains, and that's why I struggle to get to the scenic part most of the time on all of my layouts that I've ever created. Is because I just get too wrapped up in the track building and the running trains. I was actually responsible for the pretty much for the laying of the track for our club layout too.
Yeah.
I got kind of like just turned up there on a Thursday as soon as the doors opened, laid track until the minute they closed the doors, kind of thing. So just left everybody else to do what they wanted to do. I just wanted to concentrate on the track laying.
That's
cool.
such an interesting response, but I'd argue that I hate track laying more than anything. It's like the necessary evil. Actually, no, ballasting is the worst thing, but track laying, like for me,
I was
is
going to say that. I was going to say that ballasting is literally the pet peeve, isn't it?
It's
I don't think there's
maybe
anybody in this
that-
hobby who prefers ballasting over anything else.
I think I've seen one or two people that comment it, but they're like proper mixing the stones up and really gently laying it down, and it looks absolutely fantastic. But also, you have to bear in mind they're only working on about a 4 foot scenic board. They're going to be, I don't understand why people don't like it. Going, yeah, because my layout is 24 feet. You know, it's a bit of a difference there.
Well, when I started ballasting my layout, everybody was saying, "Oh, use a pipette," and I was like, "Have you seen how big this layout is?"
You need a super soaker, don't you, for that sort of size?
I actually emptied out my wife's Saflora bottle and started using that with really watered down PVA.
Top tip there for everybody.
that's
Absolutely.
sacrilege in the cleaning world, isn't it? Emptying out a Saflora bottle. Like,
But the good thing is she will never know because she probably won't even listen to this. So
I think Sanford East also said track lane, didn't they? I think that was the answer there for favorite part of the hobby.
yeah, that was definitely Richard's response. I mean, so enlighten me a little bit on O gauge track laying. So is there like an O gauge set track, or do you use flexi track? Like what's for us who work in double O, we know that we have set track, code 100, code 75, streamline, fine scale, handmade track.
with O gauge, you've got several. You've got the Pico set track, which is your first radius. You won't get any coaches around that at all. It's mainly for just shunting yards. Apart from that, it's all flexi. You've also got bullhead, which is similar to your double O gauge track. Uses the same fish plates, funnily enough.
Okay.
And then you have flat bottom rail, which was the only one that was available during COVID when Pico shut down and started making things for the government. And I made the mistake of buying an absolute shed load of flat bottom track without realizing that there was only 2 sets of points that were actually made in flat bottom.
Oh,
So when I went to start this layout, I realized I need a double slip, I need a curved point, I need a Y point. And so then I had to buy reducers, I had to buy track adjustment thing, so basically you could pair them up together. And it was a complete mess, it really was. And flat bottom is a nightmare to bend as well. But anybody listening, go bullhead from the get-go.
this is great talking to you. I'm learning so much about the entering the world of O gauge.
Well, there you go. Then you know what to do when you start your next layout, then, don't you, James?
Don't tempt him.
Yeah, I've already started looking at the garden because I think that's probably the best place to have O gauge. But it's a question if we stay at this house or not. So it might be just a little stockpile for the moment and put on the back burner until decisions have been made. So, but lovely, cool. So yeah, I think that's score 2 for track laying then, in regards to people's favourite part of the hobby. So we're going to say for the next question, we're not encouraging people to start new projects or tear up their old layouts, but if you were to start a new layout, what is the one thing that you'd need on it?
You guys are going to love this. A fiddle yard.
Hey,
All of my stock either sits on. I've literally got no siding space, and any coaches that don't fit in there just have to sit in one of the platform roads. So I can only run one train round at a time. I can't have any shuttling going in and out the shed area. Aside from that, I'd also like more siding space and also potential for longer trains. But it's a can of worms. That is, it's starting another project. I'm set on this for now.
Would you consider taking a section out of your layout to put a fiddle yard in, or do you think that it's not as necessary right now, but if you were going to restart again, that's when it's important?
I genuinely don't think I have the space for a fiddle yard.
I guess my biggest question would be, we've talked about the length of trains in double O gauge, but what's the longest length of train that you run? So let's talk I mean, whatever works best for you, whether it's feet, inches, meters, and centimeters. What sort of coaching stock and freight stock? So, like, give me a rough average. What's your shortest length train that you tend to run?
I tend to run, longest is about 4-coach train. That's, you're talking 2 meters, maybe a meter and a half, 2 meters long train before you put the loco on the front. Because the coaches are about the Mark 1 coaches that I've got are about 400 millimeters in length, and the B sets are slightly shorter, which I can run 4 of those, but I can only run 3 Mark 1s before it starts protruding further than the platforms, which is what I try. And I've got signals at each end of my platform, which kind of dictates how long my trains can be.
I guess you've also got the benefit where you run heritage style. You don't have to have a 9 rake.
Well, no, sometimes I just run a B set in the auto coach. It doesn't look right, but it works.
I mean, I've seen some things run on heritage lines. I think you can pretty much run anything. Like I've seen half of a 108 set running by itself. So you're completely within your power to run whatever you want, I think.
Severn Valley run Stanier coaches with Gresley teak coaches every now and again. So that's the joy about Heritage Railway. You can pretty much get away with running whatever you can, because that's what Heritage Railways do, is they just run whatever they've got.
That's it. I think the bizarrest one I've seen, it was a photo, so I can't confirm if they were coupled together, but it was one of the Porter Par twins, I think at the time painted in the Sodor China Clay yellow livery, paired up with a Virgin HST, I think, off the top of my head. That was an interesting one. I don't know if they ran together, but there was a photo of them stood together in a platform.
That's definitely rule 1, isn't it?
It definitely is, isn't it? It's just, I don't think anyone imagined ever seeing anything like that. But it just goes to show, doesn't it? I think that's why heritage modelling is becoming more and more popular. Just because rule 1, it literally will work without anyone ever criticizing it. And I think the worst maybe you can have is someone saying, "Oh, well, that wouldn't run because that one wasn't preserved." But at the end of the day, it's an imaginary railway that doesn't exist in the real world, so it's an alternative timeline. And I always think, if you're building your layout to an alternative timeline, then certain locos probably would have survived a bit longer. There may be, the one thing we don't see in British modelling, and I think you get it a little bit in American modelling, is fictional railway companies.
Yeah.
I think I've seen one British layout. I think it's Hooper's Aggregates, which is on the exhibition circuit, which is sort of a fictional company. But even then, they're using Freightliner and EWS rolling stock with it. But it just seems so bizarre that we'll have this imaginary world, but we're always very fixed on what ran. That didn't run with that. You can't have that sort of thing. But I think that's probably why heritage lines have become more popular these days in regards to modelling.
I think it's really important to come into this situation and just sort of raise one of the reasons that I found Rob's layout and his Instagram account in the first place. Rob mixes sometimes some of his Games Workshop based products with his model railway, because O-Gauge fits perfectly with the Warhammer scale. And one of my favorite things is that Rob did that. So, and I've made this very clear to Rob in the past. And I think you're effectively, if you can't appreciate that that's something fun, then it's probably not the right hobby for you to get into if you're going to take it that seriously. And I might misspeak on the name, but is it Cadian Holt is the name of one of your stations, Rob?
It's just called Cadian Gate.
There you go. And having the mixture of the two hobbies, you're effectively combining Steam era locos along with Warhammer. Give or take, I think you're somewhere in the region of about 38 millennium difference in time that the two ran together. But the fact that when you do it, it looks so awesome. I think
I do plan on making some Cadian crew for my locomotives as well.
Oh, that's so cool. So if you don't know, Cadians are the effectively the normal army military in the 41st millennium in the Warhammer era. So it fits perfectly when Rob runs these sort of things. And I urge you to go and look on Rob's Instagram account to look at some of the videos that Rob used to do on these. So yeah.
I'll just as a quick segue, in one of the Gaunt's Ghost novels, they do actually go into a rail yard, and there is actually they describe it as basically Stania 8F steaming away in a siding, waiting to be used as
That's
well.
awesome. I always so James, I'm really sorry we're going into a new level of nerd territory here. I don't know
If
if
you mention the lightsabers, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Rob, I don't know if you've read much of the Horus Heresy novel series, but I mean, to those who don't know what the Horus Heresy series is, the books I think are somewhere in the region of about 80 books in the series now, maybe less.
That's right, yeah.
And there's a book called Mechanicum. Now, Mechanicum is about a forge world. So rather than having sort of your colliery running on one place, you tend to have entire planets devoted to it. And there's a particular part of the book where they're trying to escape from the Mechanicum on a maglev train. So imagine sort of like your Disney World monorail type thing. But sometimes they manage to paint a picture of these particular worlds where you do want to see some trains and rail based stuff in the Warhammer world. And if you haven't read the book and you're into Warhammer, you could read it technically as a standalone novel if you wanted to. Mechanicum has some great scenes in it where it paints the picture of having railways running in the Warhammer universe perfectly, and it's just, I imagine them running up and down a London Underground train whilst they're painting this picture. So it's really worth looking into. So massive segue. Sorry, continue.
So, anyone just joining us, you're listening to the Warhammer Replacement Podcast.
Well, technically, that's what it is, right? I mean, model railways replaced Warhammer for me. So, James, you're not wrong.
I think it's nice, isn't it, to combine your hobbies into it. And one of the things I considered doing, and it's a bit more difficult because the ships come in various scales, but I've always thought about doing like a movie studio sort of built near the railway. And I think the studios that actually filmed Star Wars, some of the Star Wars stuff, Episode 7 stuff and that, was near the East Coast main, not the East Coast, sorry, the West Coast main line. Just north of London. So I always thought it'd be great that you just sort of built like this movie set in the corner where you could have like the Millennium Falcon and the X-Wings, and you can combine your two worlds and have that little bit of extra enjoyment. So yeah, as you say, it's for those who like to take the hobby really seriously because they get that kind of enjoyment of the fact and the history and that, and that's fair enough. But it's also it's going, that's the bit you enjoy about it. What we enjoy about it is, you know, just the pleasure of bringing our worlds together and just seeing these things. And I think that's what it needs to be. And it's about what everyone enjoys. At the end of the day, we all like trains. We just all like them in a different way. So yeah, nothing wrong with wanting to have your Warhammer on your layout, is there?
The two hobbies go hand in hand. It's that easy.
Yeah. That's what I was saying about the Key Model World Live. I felt, you know, it was a good show, but I thought if you brought the Warhammer into it and all the other tabletop gaming, I thought that might be something else to add to the show next year. Just because, like you say, that they do go hand in hand, and I dabble a little bit in the Star Wars Legion stuff, and I've been picking up things from their different modeling techniques that aren't in the model railways, but you can transfer those skills. And I think that's sort of the importance of all this sort of modeling, isn't it? It's sharing that knowledge and being a better community. Okay, yeah, thanks for that answer then, Rob. Yeah, I always like to hear the answer of Fiddle Yard. And it's been quite good on, I've noticed, like social media, and that people have been mentioning that since our podcast about Fiddle Yards, that they have put more thought into it and have been doing a little bit more work on it. So it's nice to know that what we're talking about is being listened to, taken on board, and helps people with ideas. And that's kind of what we wanted with the podcast. So yeah, the fact that you've said Fiddle Yard as well just pleases us even more. So thank you for that. Well, I'll move on to the next question, and that is, what is the one hobby item you'd encourage everyone to buy? So far we've had airbrush. Sam said about his turntable thing. Oh, sorry, Sam, I forgot the name of it. Dremel, and the paints from Halfords, as many of the items that have been mentioned so far. So what is yours?
I'm going to go on a whim and say a loco servicing cradle.
Now that is a sensible answer, yes. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, this has kind of saved my backside because obviously O-gauge locomotives have a lot of detail, and I don't like the idea of just posing them upside down on the top of my table. So this one that I've got found on eBay, it's got like movable grips, so I can use this for both N-gauge and double O as well.
Oh, sweet.
So it's just made life easier. This morning I fixed my dad's N-gauge 47 on it, and it's just kind of made life so much easier in regards to servicing and looking after my locomotives.
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, I think everyone needs something like that. I actually use for the OO stuff. It's like a foam strip that they were installing new desks at work and they're throwing them all out. And my workmate went, they'd be pretty good for locos, wouldn't they?
Some people just use sponges.
Yeah, that's another one, isn't it? Yeah, like or a nice big bit of foam, isn't it? And just sort of cut a hole. Let's say a hole. Sort of I can't think of the word I want to say.
Is cavity the word you're looking for?
That could be the word. Yeah, my brain's gone deaf. Yeah, definitely. So Loco Cradle, that is an awesome answer, and yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. I think with models becoming more and more detailed and more precious, it's definitely an ideal tool to have. Cool. Right, we'll move on to your favorite exhibition and your favorite layout. And as we always say, the layout doesn't have to be an exhibition. It can be seen anywhere. It could be something you saw on YouTube. It could be a museum you visited. It could be something you've seen in a magazine article. Anything that floats your boat again, I suppose.
Well, I don't tend to go to many exhibitions. I don't normally have the time, and in fairness, there's only one or two that tend to happen around here in Shropshire. I will be going to the Shrewsbury one on the 1st of June. That'll probably be my first in about proper model railway exhibition in about 5-6 years. So yeah, but my favourite layout has got to be Heaton Lodge.
Oh, good choice.
Purely because the scale of it and the fact that he needs an articulated lorry to carry it around is just amazing.
It is. It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely amazing layout. And if you say the size of it, where he stores it as well, isn't it? I think he uses a warehouse and like you say, he uses a lorry to get it around.
I can imagine it drains the national grid when he plugs it in as well.
It's got to have a hell of a power supply, isn't it? That's,
Yeah, all those locos draining 8 amps each.
Just to confirm, that is the layout that did previously hold, or was believed to hold, the biggest portable layout record, correct?
Correct, and it will do again because after Pete Waterman beat his record, he's now putting on an extension onto it.
Well, we're just going to model railway exhibition in the future. It's just going to be those two layouts in a really big hall, isn't it?
What would be even more amazing is if they can do it where they actually allow, there's like a section of it where the two layouts cross each other. So Pete Waterman's layout goes over a viaduct over the top of...
and like give you a bit of depth perception where it's smaller at the back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it is a no gauge layout as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's it is an amazing layout, and the effort and the work he puts into it, and it's not your typical layout because I think he's done it's like a February morning, isn't it? It's like cold and a bit frosty, so his model sort of the dead trees and that, which is always nice to see someone branch out from the traditional summer model railway that we all like, because I suppose it's that nostalgia part, whereas that's got that more grim real world feel about it, and especially in that scale it just looks so impressive. Cool, thank you for that, Rob. Heaton Lodge, yeah, absolutely wonderful layout. If people listening haven't seen it before, look for it on YouTube. I'm sure it's out on Facebook, and that it's an amazing layout, and if you do get the opportunity to see it in real life, then please do. Rob, it's been fantastic having you on the show. We're going to come to the last question that we always like to ask, and it's the one that has evolved since Sanford East gave us an amazing answer. So what was once, what is your favourite resource, YouTube or Instagram, is now just, what is your favourite resource?
I'm going to have to go with Instagram. Ever since I joined it, the community has been absolutely phenomenal. They're an endless source of inspiration and also drive. It's amazing how many times I've felt in this hobby that I'm coming to a brick wall, and you just talk to a few people and they're like, well, you could try this, you could try that. And then you try it and it revitalizes that whole the whole experience, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, the people I've met on Instagram have been second to none in just being really, really inspirational and useful. It's just got one of the best communities you could possibly ever want in this hobby. And that's how all of us at the shunting yard found each other, is just through our, because they've been a great help to me over the last couple of months since we started it, which is coming soon, I promise.
So, anyone listening not entirely sure what the shunting yard is, do you want to explain to everyone out there what you've got coming?
The plan is we're going to hold a monthly like live stream on YouTube, Instagram, basically us four going over the nitty gritties of the hobby for the whole month, talking about, having a bit of banter, talking about what we've been up to, what we've got coming up on our own individual channels during the month as well, and basically just having fun on a live stream. Really, we may be drinking through some of these. We haven't decided yet. It depends what time of day it falls on, because we're all from different countries, so we'll see what happens with that.
I was going to say, some of you might be doing this over breakfast. Some of you might be doing it staying up from the previous night out.
Well, yeah, myself, Little Western Railway and Proper Chuffed will be, they're only plus an hour from me, so it'll be our evenings. But poor Dan over at Engage USA, he's 6 hours behind us, so he will be having lunch while we're having our evening drinks.
That is dedication, though. We look forward to it, and we will, when it does come out, we will obviously share about it as well, because the more stuff that there's available for the community, the better. And I think that would certainly be something to shout about.
Yeah.
Oh, and we want you guys on it as well at some point. So your invites will be in the post as soon as we start this ball rolling.
Excellent stuff. Well, we look forward to that. That's your future project then, Rob. And yeah, me and Sam, I'm sure, would be delighted to appear on your show in the future. And as we say, we'll quite happy to let our listeners know about the upcoming shunting yard.
I will make sure that I email across our rider as well, so that you guys can get all of our. We need at least six bottles of sparkling water, as well as a can of Rubicon for James.
Yes. And, I like some M&Ms, but I want all the red ones removed.
Can't promise that.
So yeah, that's two for Instagram then. And what I liked about your answer as well was that you pretty much said exactly what Sam had said, and in that sense of community and how people help each other. And it's true, it is a lot more friendlier place than some of the other internet social medias and forums, etc., that are always not so helpful. So I can definitely see why Instagram is chalking 2 up on the scoreboard there at the moment. That's the end of our interview then, Rob. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Now, I do believe you wanted to mention an O-Gauge group.
Yeah, we started this group in February with a Telford O-Gauge group, and we're building basically a yard-based layout. It's kind of in the 1980s. We are currently appealing for other members, really. If you want to come and join us, if you're in the Telford area, or I don't know, within half an hour drive or something, and you are free on a Thursday night between 8 o'clock and 10, just send me a message and I will tell you where to be.
Excellent stuff. So the best way to message you, would that be through Instagram on the Kiln Line account?
That's it, yes, that'd be correct.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, if there's anyone out there in the Telford area that wants to even dabble, I suppose, with O-Gauge, maybe see if it's for you or not. You don't have to own any O-Gauge, I take it. You could just come and join and have a play with what's at the club. Absolutely, yeah. But enough of our group members have got locomotives that we bring. So yeah, even if you're just at a loose end and you fancy doing something constructive, just come along and give us a hand. Cool, excellent stuff. So yeah, anyone listening there, there's a model club for you to go and have an adventure at. Yeah, as I say, thank you very much, Rob, for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again in the future. Yeah, well, thank you both for having me on. You guys are doing an amazing job with this podcast, by the way, and I just want you to keep up the good work. You're making my Mondays a lot more tolerable. No problem. That's what we're trying to do. Thank you very much, Rob. We are now going to take a short break, and we're going to come back after that.
This world we live in is a wondrous and fascinating place. We stand on the brink of greatness and a chance to make a real difference in this world. Two people who are not making a difference in the world are James and Sam. So great are their egos that you can now support them on Patreon from $5 per month to just show your support. You too can watch the model railway world burn under their narcissistic natures. Head on over patreon.com/Model Rail Replacement Podcast.
Okay, we're back, and that was our interview with Rob from the Kiln Line. And just say thanks again for Rob for appearing on the show. Right then, Sam. Well, it's the end of the episode. So we usually tie this up with a little social media shout out. What have you got for us this week?
So this one, it came new to me, and I've only actually watched one video, but I was pleasantly surprised by it, and it is Wolverton Centre sidings. Quite a large looking layout. I think 4 or 5 track lines going around at certain points. The thing that drew me to this is they've done a video. I've tried putting magnetic couplers on old Hornby tankers and things like that, but they found a particular product which is part of the ROCO, the ROCO brand, that is effectively a kinematic coupler that you can install on old rolling stock that has the D-link couplings that are attached by the rivet. They've done a video. It's called Building a 00 Model Railway UK, How to Convert Hornby Railroad Wagons to NEM. And it's a cool little device, enough that it's made me go, when I go to upgrade some wagons, I'm certainly going to have a look at possibly investing in some of them. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a kinematic NEM pocket that you can mount onto the bottom of old wagons. So if you're interested in upgrading your couplings or anything like that on your wagons, I know you can do it with some permanent magnets that sort of aren't kinematic. This is certainly a way to do it in the future. So I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to watch many of the other videos, but that's the one that caught me, and I thought it was worth giving it a little shout out. 491 subscribers, but certainly a video to watch. How about you?
I was going to say, I know this channel. And I thought I was subscribed to this channel, and it would explain why I haven't seen it in a very long time, because I've just gone and looked it on YouTube. You may have just accidentally heard some of his music playing as I just went into the website there. So apologies for that. But yeah, I know this. I know this one. Yeah, I quite liked what he's been doing. I think it is based on Wolverton on the West Coast Main Line, or at least a variation of it. And then for if you're not aware, Wolverton is one of I think it's the oldest railway sort of, I don't want to say building, but like railway works. It's definitely, I think it's the oldest railway works in the world, still surviving. It's a listed structure. It's also where the Royal Train gets stored when it's not in use. Yeah, it's a little interesting part of the world. And yeah, I think it's a nice little channel. So yeah, the coupling sounds very useful, but yeah, his layout is quite good as well. So yeah, that's a cool little shout out. So I am going to shout out. Now this channel is quite a big channel. I think people listening should probably know it already, but it's one of my favorites, and so I just thought I'd just shout it out because as we say, we don't always shout out the smaller channels. Sometimes we just like to talk about the bigger ones and appreciate them as well. And mine is Underground Eric.
It's a solid choice.
So, I really like Eric's channel. I found it a few years ago, and it was during a point, I think, when my lad was quite obsessed with London Underground trains as well. So it was a really great channel for both of us to sit down and watch, because obviously he's got his underground stock on there and his various buildings layout, and then he has all that live steam. I think it's 5-inch gauge that he does as well, which is absolutely fascinating and brilliant to watch. And yeah, I just really enjoy his channels. I really enjoy his layout. I enjoy his presentation and everything, sort of as he works on it, and his ideas, and how it's evolved from this little layout that was in his bedroom to this bigger layout that he's now got in his cabin out in the garden. And it's been quite nice to watch him over the years work on them. So Underground Eric, I'm sure many of you already know about it, but yeah, that's my shout out for the week.
I will say, if you want to get to know a little bit more about Underground Eric as well. He did a Q&A video about 5 months ago when he hit the 10,000 subscriber mark. It's a really good Q&A to learn a little bit more about him, his past, and how he got to modeling underground stock for his model railways. So if you want a starting point, that's a really good one. But if you want to see like him working on his layout and trains, there's so many good videos on there.
Yeah, that is a really good video, actually. Yeah, I remember watching that, and it was really interesting to get an understanding of his background and everything, and how he got into the hobby, and knowing that he's originally a Western man, because he was at Old Oak Common. So
that's a really good recommendation. So yeah, Underground Eric and Wolverton Centre sidings as well. So yeah, give those a watch if you can, and remember the deal. If you go over there and you like what you see, leave them a comment, tell them that we sent you. That's helps everyone know that we're all in this together in the model railway community.
that's it. Yeah, we're just all we're all about caring and sharing.
I am going to come in with a small announcement. James and I have mentioned it a little bit, but I don't think it's actually ever officially made it to an episode due to cuts, or it didn't fit in properly. So I'm putting it here in the outro. James and I will be taking a hiatus for the summer holidays. This is simply because we are family men. We have things to do, and to sit down and record this, whilst we really enjoy it, it does take up a lot of our time. So we've made the commitment, we've planned out episodes, and we will be taking our last episode to come out will be on Monday, the 29th of July. And that one's going to be quite a special one when it comes out. So I hope you look forward to that one. But after that episode, we will be taking a break until September. So just bear that in mind. We might not be in your ears over the summer holidays, for better or for worse.
We'll be gone to September. We'll be gone until September.
We do also have a slight change that after last week's episode as well. We've been doing it where we've been doing topic interview. After today, we've got one more interview that's been recorded, and we can't wait to share that one with you. But after that, we're going to be going to our LMS Fight Club episode. Was so successful and so well received. We're going to try and slink those in a little bit quicker than we initially planned. So we're going to be going on a new rotation of, we're going to be doing, I think I've got it planned in that we're going to be doing interview, topic, Fight Club, or something in that. It's going to be in a set of 3 before it resets, and then we do another interview, topic, Fight Club. So it means that we can get the Fight Club episodes out a little bit quicker than we had initially planned. I think it worked out that by the time, if we did it on the same rotation that we have been doing, it might be that you might not get all of those until possibly Christmas. So
I'm still trying to think off the top of my head a little bit. Man, just squeeze the 4 big 4 companies and then add BR Standard in there, but we'll see how that pans out, I suppose.
Well, the good news is if we add in the BR Standard, it means that for the final we do have 5 again.
Excellent. Yes.
So we're going to have to shoehorn it in. We might have to only pick 3 or something like that, but it means that we'll have the 5 essences of it to include for the Super.
Well, what I wanted to say was, because someone had pointed out that I brought a diesel into the competition, but at no point did we say it was strictly steam. I would like to make that known, because obviously our next round is Southern, and I know that you have quite the fondness for Third Rail Electric, so I suspect something may get picked there. So just on the rules.
Yeah, it's worth clarifying. I obviously lost the coin toss as well, so I'm waiting with bated breath for James's final list so that I can work on mine.
I have 5 tank engines at the moment. I can't decide which one. So...
well, I mean, you've got a little bit yet. I think we've got 4 or 5 weeks before that's due to come out anyway. So I hope you can all look forward to it. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was lovely talking to Rob and sitting down and finally getting a Steam person on the show, so that at least people can stop yelling at me that they need Steam people.
That's it. I mean, obviously, normal service will resume on our next interview, without giving away any more information on that. But yeah, it was good to talk Steam. And obviously, as you say, the Fight Club battle's gone down quite well, and I think that's again because we've talked about Steam engines. Yeah, so yeah, I do look forward to the Southern one. And just, we know we said we wanted people to put the recommendations of what they think should go in there, and there has been some popping up on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. I'd just like to point out that the rebuilt bullies do not count because British Rail rebuilt them. So they will not be counted in the Southern battle. only the originals. One to think about there if you were planning for that one, Sam.
I'm going in this completely blind until I've seen your list. There's absolutely nothing I could do because I don't want to get myself built up to where I want a particular thing, and then it turns out you've picked it. So I'm remaining cool, calm, and collected. But you must remember that you do need to pick a team. So if you are interested in following along with James and being one of his cheerleaders, you can use the hashtag or use the phrase Team WS. That's Western Signalman. Or if you choose to put your stock in myself, then you can use the hashtag Team EP. And obviously, we don't usually want our children to pick sides, but we're doing it in this one just because it adds a little bit more fight to this entire thing. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and also, well, this week will be the week after that we've been running the which one was right. So, so far the Ginty is the correct locomotive to be chosen for tank engine according to the votes on Instagram. The Fairburn was the correct locomotive to go for the mixed traffic choice. Today, as of the recording, we are on freight engine, and I think the 4F is winning there, even though the 7F won it between us, but that's because I quite passionately bullied Sam into giving in there. And then, yeah, so for the next few days, we'll run the passenger and Any Man Goes. And then as of next week, we will then run all 5 choices on Instagram for you to pick who you think should be the champion to go through to the regional finals up against the other big 4 locos and the BR standards. Right then, so as we always like to do before we say goodbye, is we just like to shout out our own social media so you can find us. So Sam, if people want to find you, how do they find you?
You can get hold of me on Instagram at Emperors_Path. You can find me on Facebook under Emperors Path, or you can find me on YouTube at Emperors Path. James, what about yourself?
Yeah, if you want to contact me, it is Western Signalman on Instagram and on YouTube. Alternatively, there is Western Signalman at outlook.com. That ties us up for this show. It's been a busy one. Nice little chat with Rob, and hopefully we've been entertaining, informative, and have replaced your model railway, if just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Sam. Good night.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.